Hi everybody. So today's video, this is going to be a very short video most likely. All I really want to do is just go over some of the work that's going on in the course just to make sure that everyone is up to date and pretty much knows what's expected for submission of projects and assignments and where we are in terms of the course schedule. So just looking here at our D2L shell, I've got a few things I just posted for June 1st. So June 18th is the last day of classes. So that basically means, if I look at my calendar here, that we have really almost three weeks of this class left. And what I'm planning to use these 3 weeks for is to give you time to work on your personal project. Now, of course, if you still hadn't submitted one of the previous assignments, please get that submitted immediately. So work on the personal project, as well as I have a resume assignment as part of the career prep component that I've just posted today. And that is going to be due next Monday. So those are the two main things in terms of assignments I'm going to be expecting from you. The other component in terms of the lessons and my teaching is I'm going to do a few more lectures related to career prep, okay? We're not gonna have a lot of time to do many more big assignments for career prep, just simply because we only have 3 weeks, and the personal project is going to take up quite a bit of your time to make sure you get something done that's quality, for the end of this course. But there are a lot of other things with career prep, and one of the ones that I want to try to do some lectures with and help you with is basically prepping for a job interview, okay? And job interviews for software developers, they usually are going to have a couple different components. There's going to be an interview component, and as well as you get further along and closer to a job, there's often going to be a demonstration component, where either during that interview, you'll have to demonstrate your knowledge by solving some programming problems, or you'll have a take-home component that you'll have a short period of time to do. In either case, it's important to prepare for what types of questions, what type of problems you might need to solve. So that's something I'm going to be trying to cover and help you out with. As well, during the interview component of a job interview, often software developers will be asked kind of these mental challenging questions. And these questions often don't have a very specific defined answer, but the purpose of these types of questions is the employer wants to see your attitude and your problem solving process when you work on a difficult, challenging problem. So I'm gonna find some of these problems and go through them with you in a future video to try to help prepare you for what would happen in an interview if you were given one of these questions. And the whole idea is the interviewer isn't necessarily going to be evaluating you completely on how good your solution is, but they're going to want to see a positive attitude and you working through a problem-solving process to solve the problem given to you. Okay. So that's just an overview of what we're looking for. I mean, this semester has gone by really fast because it's a compressed one, of course. So pretty soon we'll be submitting the final personal project, and we'll be done. So that's exciting that we'll have completed this work term course. All right. So let's move on now. Let's talk about the resume project. Okay. So on this update, it just says that the resume project is posted. So let's go to where it is posted and we'll go over it. So project number 3, resume. And let's see what we have here. So this is due next Monday. And for this project, you're going to do basically fix up your resume. So essentially, you're going to be mirroring the process that I just demonstrated with my resume. So if I go back to the lectures, and the lecture for resumes, you'll notice that I have my before and my after resume. So right now, as far as I understand it, you guys have a before, what we would call the before resume. And this is the resume you've already created and used previously. So as long as you have a resume, then that part is already complete. So you are going to use that as your before, and then you're going to go through a process where you're going to fix up your resume. And of course, use my resumes as a guide. This is a good example of what a before resume that is actually not too bad in my case. But the after resume is so much better, okay? And when we apply to jobs, we need to have, our resumes really do need to be perfect, right? We can't be handing in something for a job application that is just so-so or is like a 75%, okay? It has to be top-notch. So you're gonna go through that same process and create an improved version of your resume. So let's go back to the project here. What do I have? Okay, so to help you do this, as well as my example resumes, I've also given you a template. So you are to use this template to basically enter your information and format it. And my resume uses the same template. So the template is in 01 Resume Template 2. So we can open that up and take a look in a minute. And of course, I also mentioned here in the instructions to use my resume as a guide. And then for submission, I already have a Dropbox open, but what you're gonna submit is your before and then your improved resume. All right, so let's take a look at the actual template. So this is the file here. I'll download this. Okay, so this is basically has the margins, it has the font, the different font sizes, and pretty much has placeholder where now you can go and insert your information. So we have pretty much at the top, we have what Greg Langstaff referred to as our personal branding. Okay, very important section that has keywords, that talks about, basically gives a summary that describes who you are to the employer. We also have a bunch of various job titles as well, and also personal information to go along with your resume. Now keep in mind, my resume, I omitted my personal details because I didn't want to post it on the video, but you can go ahead and you can fill in your stuff here. Now, if you don't feel comfortable putting your personal details, that's fine. Just as long as you have your school email and also your LinkedIn account in this part, that's fine for this purpose. You don't need to put your address, for example. However, when you just realize when you go to actually submit this to an employer, you're probably going to want to add your address to that as well as your phone number, okay? But I would recommend, personally, I would recommend just don't include your phone number and your address unless you're actually submitting it for an employer, okay? All right, now we come down and we have our experience. And please go back and review the video that Greg and I did where we went through the resume. So I probably shouldn't go into too much detail here because he did a much better job and he's a professional. So for the relevant experience, basically you have your job experience and then you also have your education as well. So these are the two areas that you're going to want to fill out, okay? And we're looking for resumes that are 2 pages in length. All right, now I've also included a cover letter template. Now this is not part of this assignment. And I may choose to do another small assignment with the cover letter, but we are running low on time. So I'm probably leaning towards just doing a quick lesson where I go through a cover letter and talk about some of the things that you're going to want to do with a cover letter. Now, the reason that I've included this cover letter though, is that this comes from the same template as the resume. So while you're going to create your new resume, also please save and keep this template for a cover letter for future reference, okay? It has the same fonts and same personal branding as your resume will. So this is something that you'll definitely want to use and when you actually go to apply for jobs. So I've just kind of included this right now for completeness, and I may come back if I have time and refer to it in the future. Okay, so that covers the resume project. If you guys have any questions, of course, feel free to reach out to me through email, and I'll try to clarify that. Additionally, I have messaged everyone on D2L, and I have included Greg Langstaff's LinkedIn. And he was really excited doing the video and was really happy to help you guys out. And he has provided his LinkedIn to you guys. And I recommend, if you guys are interested in possibly using his services in the future, that you add him on LinkedIn and connect with him. I think it's a great contact for you to have. This is someone that, myself personally, I use for my resumes. So I think that I strongly recommend that you go about this. It doesn't mean you're gonna necessarily hire him right away to do a resume, but of course in a couple years when you guys are graduating, this is an important step that you guys can use to help you find your first job. Okay, so let's go back to the course homepage. And the other part that I talk about here is the final submission from the personal project is set to June 17th, all right? So that gives us just over 2 weeks to work on the personal project. So I haven't heard from too many of you how the personal project is going. I hope it's going well. A few things I want to definitely mention though is make sure your personal project is set up on your GitHub, all right? It needs to be set up on your GitHub because I want to be seeing all of the development that you're doing. I can basically verify that you've been working on this steadily throughout the next couple weeks. The other thing is likely you guys are going to run into some stumbling blocks, some issues, and you're going to need assistance from me probably. And a few students have already reached out to me. And basically what I recommend you do is if you're getting stuck on something, you can send me an email and say, Eric, I'm stuck here. I'm not sure what to do. Please give me some advice. But what I don't want though is for you to include a zipped folder that includes the code. I want you to post the URL to the GitHub for your personal project. That way I can easily go and I can clone the repository and I can look at the code that way. It's much, much easier for me to collaborate and we can avoid sending these zipped attachments because we need to stop doing that just because that's such an inefficient and poor way of collaborating on projects. So definitely get set up with GitHub, make sure you're using it with your personal project. Now, the other thing I want to mention about the personal project as well is that when you submit the personal project, I'm not expecting it to be some sort of perfect working demonstration, okay? The goal of the personal project isn't to create something that is 100% complete. So for example, the Connect 4 project that we did, you could argue that the Connect 4 is done, but it's really not. Right? There's all kinds of features and additions we could add to that. We could add, like I was adding, for example, the artificial intelligence to it. We could add a more complex UI to it. There's all kinds of improvements to be made. All I'm looking for is just the basics, okay? So that you have something you've worked on that you can run, that demonstrates, a project, okay? The goal of it is to create something that you will continuously work on throughout your time as a student and potentially after you become a professional. Because part of preparing for your career is to develop a love of coding. And to do that, you need to create a project that is a personal project that you're interested in. And when we talk about preparing for a job interview, one of the best ways to prepare for the technical questions that are going to come up, and also the possibility that you could have to do a code demonstration for an employer. I think the best way to prepare for that is to have personal projects that you work on and to basically code as often as possible to develop that skill. Now, of course, the other way to prepare is to be a good student, right? To do your work, to study hard. That's a very important part as well. But having a personal project that is related to the type of skills that you're going to need to develop to be a professional, I think is also a very, very valuable thing. So just to refresh, when you're working on your personal project, if you're thinking to yourself, oh, this project's too big, I'll never have all these features done, as long as you can show that you've been steadily working on it, tracking your progress through GitHub, then that's going to be acceptable to me. That you have something that you can demonstrate and that you're planning to continue working on in the future. That's really what's important here. Okay, so I think that's pretty much my update for today. Later this week, hopefully I'll be doing some videos where I'll be going through some interview type questions and some scenarios that I can run you through that'll help you prepare for a job interview. But pretty much this week, I want you guys to really be focused on this resume assignment and your personal projects. Okay, well, I'll talk to you guys later. Have a great day.